this story. Rupashi, what I wanted to ask you is what legal options do the Aam Aadmi Party have in a situation like this?
Well, the Aam Aadmi Party's legal team is actually completely, geared to fight this particular battle. And like we have been reporting since yesterday, Aam Aadmi Party's top people, including Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, have also had, consultations with, senior lawyer Kapil Sibal. Now, he is one of the person who we are expecting to fight the case once it goes to the court. Now, what is the position of the case now? An FIR has been filed. Now, the question that the Aam Aadmi Party is looking at is whether the CBI has enough evidence, or will the CBI claim to have enough evidence to go ahead and arrest Manish Sisodia, because then once he is arrested, the CBI has to defend that arrest in a court of law. Now, that is so it is a wait and watch policy for the Aam Aadmi Party's government, even though it is in consultation with various lawyers. The other option that the Aam Aadmi Party is essentially looking at is whether it is the CBI which will arrest Manish Sisodia, if it does, or whether it will be the enforcement directorate. Now, the reading within the party, amongst the legal team within the party, is that it is much more difficult to get a bail if the arrest happens under sections of the enforcement directorate or various acts that it governs. So that is something that it is looking at. But one point I would like to make is that the Aam Aadmi Party and its people, its top leadership, are completely prepared for the eventuality that they may have to see their Deputy Chief Minister in jail, not just for 1 day or 2 days, but perhaps for a longer time, maybe a month or even more. And that is something that they are aware of. And that is something that they are fighting against, and that is something that they want to prevent it from happening. Now, remember, it is also a very critical situation for the government. Why is it that? Because one of its ministers, Satyendra Jain, is already in jail. It's been more than 2 months, and there is no sign of him coming out at all. So Manish Sisodia, one of the key persons for Arvind Kejriwal, his right-hand man, in fact, was handling all the portfolios that were earlier handled by Satyendra Jain, and key portfolios like home, revenue, health, apart from handling education and finance. So if that happens, if Sisodia is actually arrested, who then takes over the portfolios from the Deputy Chief Minister? Who then does the Chief Minister trust to handle all these portfolios? Because as he said yesterday, the work has to continue, and Aam Aadmi Party Chief Arvind Kejriwal believes that these sort of incidents should not hamper the government's delivery on the ground. We are also getting to hear from our sources within the Lieutenant Governor's office that the FIR is just extremely preliminary, and the CBI is in the process of filing a much waterproof or tighter charge sheet. And the sources within the Lieutenant Governor's office are very confident that they have a very tight case against the Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia. And according to sources, as they have pointed out, and as it has been mentioned in the Chief Secretary's note also, Manish Sisodia actually did not take did not consult the Council of Ministers or the Lieutenant Governor's office or take their approval before he announced this new excise policy. And that is something that the sources in the Lieutenant Governor's office believe it will be very hard to defend. Plus, as the government of Delhi itself has admitted, the policy actually did not take off on the ground. It has led to revenue loss, it has led to cartelization, it has led to a lot of unhappiness and bickering and uneven playing field on the ground. So those are the questions that the Aam Aadmi Party's government and its lawyers, or Manish Sisodia's lawyers, will have to defend in the court of law if it reaches to that state. So not a very pleasant situation for the party to be in. And for the Aam Aadmi Party, ever since its inception, actually, attack has been the best form of defense. And which is why you saw its top leaders being fielded yesterday in back-to-back press conferences to take on the central government, to give out a sense of confidence and to say that Manish Sisodia is innocent, he is going to come out clean, which in fact was said by Arvind Kejriwal himself in his address. Also remember that Arvind Kejriwal himself has been arrested before, and he was also in Tihar jail for some time before he came out. So within the Aam Aadmi Party, actually, it is not a very drastic thing that they're looking at. Many of them have been in jails before. Many of them have been acquitted by the courts before, and that is what they're relying on, the past experience of handling such situations. And that is what is giving them confidence. We are also getting to learn that Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal is headed to Gujarat again for in the next week on a 2-day visit.
Yeah.
And you expect this liquor battle also to play out in Gujarat also, where the Chief Minister is definitely going to make this point that, look, the central agencies have arrested our Deputy Chief Minister when he was doing such good work on education. And look what is happening in Gujarat. Even after so many liquor deaths, no such actions have been taken.
All right, Rupashri, thank you so much for that information, but I do want you to stay with us. But for right now, I just want to quickly cross over to Ashish Maharishi. He tracks the Enforcement Directorate, and I want to get an update from him. Now, Ashish, I'm coming to you. What I wanted to ask you is that yesterday ED sources had told us that the ED was likely to ask for the CBI's case files in relation to Sisodia. What are your sources telling you now? What is the update?
FIR, or you can say that ECIR, being registered by the Enforcement Directorate. What we have been told is that they're going to officially ask for a copy of the FIR from the CBI. That's the process. But though it is in public domain, but then that is what the process is. That Enforcement Directorate will write a letter. They will write a letter. They will basically officially ask for data from Central Bureau of Investigation related to whatever the findings they have. They'll also contact the Lieutenant Governor office, ask for details, and then we can shortly expect an ECIR. Maybe searches by the Enforcement Directorate will also happen. But then we all know that Prevention of Money Laundering Act are much tougher. Getting a bail on if a PMLA case is registered and somebody is arrested, then getting bail is obviously a difficult task. So obviously it's going to be troubled time for days to come, because my sources in Enforcement Directorate tell me that there is going to be shortly an ECIR registered on Manish Sisodia and others.
All right, now I'd like to thank all of our reporters, Akash Sharma, Rupashri Nanda, Anshul Singh and Ashish Maharishi for bringing us all of those details and for giving us that comprehensive view on the current situation related to Sisodia. Now with that,